I want to address some reasons. Maybe it will help somebody out there who's targeted like us. Hmm. Used to be nice clothes. Bleach marks. It's so hard to afford laundry sanitizer sometimes. Um, we bleach everything or sanitize it because with all the risks that I have, this is another reason for this video. All the health risks that I have, and my daughter having a couple too, and as much as we get sick, it seems like people are gravitated to us. They cough all over us, cough from sometimes right in our faces, and in public. Whether it be when we go. Uh, Actually, the only time people don't cough on us traveling is if we take an Uber or something, or a Lyft, um, or a taxi. But any other way, walking, bus, um, we're always exposed to a lot of sick people. And with our health risks, we have to be very careful, especially me. Statistically, I have so many health risks against me that it's surprising that I survived serious COVID the first time in 2020 when we were at the Veterans um, Homeless Shelter Hotel housing. Uh, that I got COVID that time and was hospitalized. And I've had it 4 times since. How do I know? Because we always have COVID tests in stock. Um, Surprising I've survived it 5 times. And my daughter, I think 3 times. No, four times. But this is about something else. One of the things about the financial captivity is that I've uncovered that people are using my identity. Using my identity at one point, they cloned my credit cards. When I figured out the cards were cloned, somebody hacked my dashboards on at least 2 or 3 credit cards, so I could no longer monitor them anymore. And then around the same time, we were made homeless, and then the identity theft happened. The more serious identity theft. But in addition to what the VA HUD-VASH worker did about, oh yeah, use your credit line and your savings. I had about $900, $1,100 somewhere saved. And this is when, we're, besides, we had, I don't think we had any cash benefits at that time. It was all my graduate student stipends and working part-time. I'd saved around that much. Around 900. I think it was 1,200 at one time. But anyway, when we were at the hotel, we had a lot of food that was stolen from us. And our refrigerator kept turning off all the time. They said that's the way they're made. Really? And it would spoil our food. So that 9 months we're there, I had to spend about $300 of my own money to buy food. This is with SNAP. So that's also, taxpayer charity money that was wasted, in addition to me spending my own money. So anyway, we found out at that time that's when the HUD-VASH worker had me spend all that money and all my credit lines and refused to reimburse me. So I had to drop out of grad school because I got delinquencies. That process was started. So I would have been a shoo-in for a TA too. My past 2 graduate programs, full master degrees. Not to brag or be boastful, but at a minimum, summa magna. some summa and some magna. That's an accomplishment. That means I worked my butt off. And to finish my MDiv, it was no stellar. And my pastoral counseling curriculum, I think there I was 3 or 3.5, but my cum was only 3, because when we lost a baby in 2013, there was about 3 semesters that I couldn't keep my focus. About 3 semesters. That's when the baby was lost. May the angels hold his soul until such time we meet in eternity. And so anyway, so while people are using my identity, they've drawn unemployment in Pennsylvania, they've drawn unemployment in California, they have apparently applied for a loan in Washington, a home loan. I don't know if it was approved or not. Let's see what else. They've taken up residence in Washington. We didn't run my social security number, just my name. So it could be open-ended. There was somebody with my name who was convicted of a serious offense, and then I know that he was in federal because of the offense. I saw his California Board of Corrections, his rap sheet. I know that some federal prisons in California, when they release people, they relocate to Washington. They have, I guess, behavioral modification programs there, and this guy does have registration requirements. How do I know about my own name? Because somebody said something at a complex and actually started a rumor. So I downloaded this stuff and I researched it, and I got background checks just to throw in this person's face and say, you better stop. But they didn't, because they're also a racist, so they never stopped. Neither did their friends. Neither did the people in their sect. Nobody. They never stopped. They still haven't. And, it doesn't matter my evidence. I also showed it to my housing man. I'm like, this is hogwash. She's like, I know. She said, just ignore her. Just ignore her. Yeah. That's what we do. These people, and they keep going. But actually, it wasn't a her, it was a him. And how can the housing manager not know that? But anyway, so somebody's been using my identity regularly. It continues. And, and we got some people around here from a religious cult sect. They say, oh, people did that in Israel. Remember the news? Blah, blah. This has nothing to do with Israel. They're not a part of Mossad. These are criminals. Mossad, those are very reputable military and intelligence officers. The people doing this to me are criminals. And apparently somebody has used my identity in Ohio. Now I've found nationwide there's about 6 or 7 people who have my exact name. One of them I knew during the military. I never met him, but people in my department did. He's a lieutenant, there's either a weapons officer or a comms officer on a frigate. He was a Naval Academy grad. I think he was Naval Academy grad. But he actually came into our department once, and they're like, you just left, but you achieved your dream of wearing khakis. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? And they're like, you just walked out of here. I'm like, no, I'm just walking in. People mess with people. So I'm like, what are you guys talking about? I was at lunch at the DFACT. And they're like, at the galley. And they're like, somebody just walked out here and they told me the ship and they told me who he was. I'm like, holy Toledo. And so I went by the ship, but it looked like they were having some kind of a meeting or something, because there was limited watch out there. They were already berthed, and so I didn't go in there. I thought, no, it looks like they're doing, shipboard business. But I wanted to meet him. But anyway, and there's a social worker with my name. There's a famous poet with my name. The poet and the social worker's from New England, and the poet is, I believe, was from, I think he's from Manhattan. Let's see, and then the rest of the ones, we don't want to talk about them. Oh no, I take it back. There's a writer too. I forgot. There was a writer, and then there was a somebody involved in sports with my name, and a famous football coach too. Well, he doesn't have my exact name. I think he has my middle name and my last name, I think. But anyway, the ones that we don't want to mention, some really horrible offenses, some of them with registration requirements. I don't know if they're repentant or not, but if people are using my identity so easily, from what I've seen, from what Anonymous does, one of the things that they do, Anonymous and QAnon, is they'll try to find people that have similar or exact names, or names that can be easily altered, even on a printer, easily altered, like from Kent to Keck, or from, I'm trying to think another one, or from Smith to Smythe, things that can be easily altered, or the exact name. Then all it is a matter of numbers. And also what I've encountered is some places, at least around the Tri-County area, they insist they don't want to do anything for medical records. They don't want to do it electronically. They want to use a fax. And I've encountered this at the call center that I worked at. Some people insisting on faxing of documents. I'm like, why? You can get a PDF generator that you just drop things in. I used them in the military. I used them as a contractor when I was a safety officer. You just drop stuff in. It creates a PDF. You hit send to the email address you enter. Boom, they get the document. I'm like, why are we doing fax? And I found out later, thanks to my insurer, figured things out. So documents can be altered, or they can put as little information as possible. That way they can disenfranchise and mess people up. Like what happened with my request for an MRI, denied. Reasoning, medical provider only wrote, his neck hurts. His neck hurts is not a diagnostic statement, and does not follow any diagnostic classifications and nomenclature. Denied. And it was a fax document, and had looked like carbon copy garbage. So but the insurance company, they're not trained in that stuff. But among other things I've seen, that was the most relevant that I saw with my own eyes. But so it's easy to steal people's identity in these kind of situations, especially when it's something that doesn't involve a social security number, birth dates. The only people that pay attention to birth dates are people who are involved in medicine, whether billing or scheduling or medical records, whatever. These are things that are easily hacked and changed. I don't know how to do it, but I know that I've heard people have done it for people, hacked into records and changed the birth date. Because the thing is, it's an individual field, and with the field with so many limited combinations, that's what makes it easy to change. It's not like a name that has thousands of different possibilities. A birth date or a social security number, especially a 4-digit, if they're using the last 4, Only, several hundred to several thousand combinations. Easy to change and hack because it's an individual field in a database. Some places, when they store medical records, some stuff that goes on everything, it's in a database with multiple fields, multiple databases like birth date, name, and then it's just related inside the database code, the coding, to the person's name through a file, like file markers. And that's how people hack in and change them. And I only know a little about this, but I had a couple of classes in the military about building databases. That's how I learned. And then lots of experience in Excel and Microsoft Word and Microsoft Access using databases, which something happened when I was on active duty, and I got blamed for it, but I wasn't the one who built that database. I accessed it like everybody else, but I was the one put on the chopping block. It doesn't matter. My record speaks for itself. But yeah, somebody scapegoated me there. Anyway, there was a completely different person who created that Access database. It was not me. I edited it and added and subtracted from it just like everybody else. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I've proven myself more than enough in my career, and even during that deployment, I wasn't there because I was unemployed, bored. Their spouse was yelling at them because they're not bringing money, or two, they want to get the right points so within 3 or 4 years they can retire from the reserves. I was there because I'm a patriot, and I wanted to go back to active duty. But anyway, this isn't about that. This is about people. People.
I don't want to die.
People use your identity while you're a financial captive, and they may use it for all kinds of stuff you don't know. And it's to guarantee you it's not for anything good. Anytime people are doing something anonymously and you don't have any input, generally you're being victimized. And that's what they do. They will, take people's freedom and keep them captive while other anons or QAnons are stealing their identity. They'll even put them in poverty or homeless so they can keep using their identity. And in the end, they don't care if you die or if somebody kills you or even people die by their own hand. They don't care because then they can keep that identity permanently. This is a threat to national security. Anonymous is not hacktivism central to help people. Too many people are involved in this organization that are criminals, and they have criminal behaviors. They are predators. In QAnon, I feel bad for QAnoners because some of them are patriots. Some of them are people of faith. They think they're protecting the world, whether they're Democrat or Republican. Believe me, both sides of the fence are involved in this, folks, not just the red side. But people think that they're doing something protective to protect the country, to protect, the vulnerable or protect children. They're not. These organizations regularly are investigated by Interpol, by FBI in the Philippines, NBI, in Vietnam. I forgot the acronym in Vietnam. In Hong Kong, by Hong Kong police. These groups are regularly investigated because they protect predators. They protect them. DEA, ATF, CIA, international human smuggling rings. These people, their servers protect these people. The bad people, not the government agencies. So these are the kind of things, that's why I've said before, people who are experiencing things similar to what my family is experiencing, if you look and you really sit down and write down everything that's happening to you, you are being trafficked. It's just a more clever way to do it. And some of the people that are doing the trafficking, they have power. They work in government employment. They are very wealthy. And why are they involved in it? Because they're getting something out of it. And as long as this country tolerates corruption, criminal behavior, various kinds of predatory behavior, the more and more that democracy fades, and the more and more we see the coming end of this empire.